Have you ever wondered what it would be like to witness a life-or-death struggle between nature's most powerful creatures? Picture this: a scorching summer day, a peaceful countryside, and an unexpected battle that would test the limits of human compassion and bravery. It was noon on a sweltering summer day. Sun hung high in the sky, its heat pouring down on the quiet countryside. Beyond the village, a herd of cattle grazed leisurely on the open fields, their movements slow and peaceful, tails flicking back and forth against the biting flies. The air was heavy, filled with the hum of cicadas and the distant cry of birds. Everything appeared serene, yet only a short distance away, something far from peaceful was unfolding. The white cow had collapsed to the ground. Her body trembled faintly, sides heaving in shallow gasps. Wrapped around her midsection was a giant python, its patterned coils encircling her like heavy ropes. The creature's strength was relentless, and the cow's movements had grown weaker with each passing second. The rest of the herd grazed unaware, a few lifting their heads curiously before returning to the grass. For this one animal, however, time was running out. Just then, the stillness was broken by the sudden blare of a siren. Down the dirt road came a rescue truck, speeding faster than one might have thought possible for such a bulky vehicle. Inside sat a team of local firefighters and animal rescue workers. Responding to the emergency call that had reached their station minutes earlier, the truck screeched to a halt. In an instant, half a dozen men in navy blue uniforms jumped out. They carried hoses, ropes, and heavy gloves, their faces serious beneath the blazing sun. No one needed to be told what was happening before them was a scene of desperation that demanded action. For a heartbeat, the rescuers stood frozen, measuring the danger. The python was massive, thicker than a man's thigh, and the cow's breaths were growing fainter. A decision had to be made. "Form a line," shouted the commander, his voice sharp and commanding. "Hoses ready on my mark." The men moved quickly, unrolling the hoses, connecting them to the truck's water tank. Boots pounded against the dry earth, dust rose into the air. The sound of rushing water filled the silence, and the rescuers steadied themselves. Now the commander cried. A powerful jet of water surged forward, striking the python's thick body. The snake recoiled, twisting violently at the unexpected assault. Its coils shifted, loosening slightly under the pressure. Now the air filled with the hiss of spraying water, the grunt of effort from the men, and the rasping, uneven breath of the cow struggling beneath the weight. Again, "Don't stop," another rescuer yelled. The hoses continued to roar. One young firefighter gripped his hose so tightly that his knuckles turned white. "We can't let it die," he shouted above the chaos, his voice raw with determination. Minute by minute, the python's grip weakened. It twisted, writhed, and finally began to slide away, retreating from the unrelenting force. With one last shudder, the coils slipped free. The great snake slithered backward into the tall grass, disappearing as silently as it had appeared. The rescuers immediately rushed forward. Cow lay still on the ground, sides rising and falling rapidly, her entire body trembling from exhaustion. For a terrible moment, they feared they had arrived too late. Then slowly, her eyes flickered open. One rescuer dropped to his knees beside her. His gloved hand rested gently on her heaving side, and his voice cracked as he whispered, "It's okay now. You're safe." The cow let out a long, shaky breath. Within her eyes glimmered a faint spark, the undeniable light of life returning. Around her, the rescuers stood drenched in sweat, mud splattered across their uniforms. They exchanged tired glances, and then, almost at once, small smiles spread across their faces. Now they had done it. They had pulled her back from the edge. News of the rescue spread quickly across the countryside. Farmers, villagers, and townsfolk spoke in hushed, reverent tones about what had happened. Some marveled at the bravery of the firefighters, who had rushed into danger. Others pointed out something deeper, that the men had fought so hard not for their own lives. It's not even for another person, but for an animal. To some, it's just a cow, one villager remarked. But to them, it was a life, and every life matters. The white cow recovered under careful care. Within days, she was back on her feet, grazing once again with the herd. A faint scar remained across her side where the coils had pressed, but her spirit seemed unbroken. In the evenings, when she wandered slowly under the golden glow of sunset, the villagers would point and whisper, "That is the cow that came back from the hands of death." For the team of firefighters, the memory of that day lingered long after. They had fought fires, rescued people from accidents, even braved floods, but this was different. This was a reminder of the fragile thread that connects all living beings. One of the men, the youngest on the team, later confessed to a friend, "When I saw her, I was so helpless, so tired, I couldn't think of anything else. I just knew we had to save her. She wasn't just an animal in danger. She was a soul fighting for one more breath." The commander, a man hardened by years of dangerous work, admitted quietly that it was one of the moments that moved him most in his career. "We fight for life, no matter whose it is," he said. That day reminded us why we do what we do. The story became part of local lore. Children growing up in the village were told about the brave cow who was given back her life, and the rescuers who refused to give up on her. The tale was retold around dinner tables and at community gatherings, always carrying the same message: compassion does not measure size, worth, or species. The cow lived on, healthier with each passing season. She gave birth to calves, and her presence in the herd became a symbol of resilience. Farmers often paused to pat her gently as she passed, whispering words of gratitude as though she could understand. And in a way, perhaps she did. For every time her deep brown eyes met those of the people around her, there seemed to be a quiet acknowledgement. She remembered, and she was thankful. Years later, the firefighters still remembered the day vividly. They recalled the heat of the sun, the hiss of water, the pounding of their hearts, and the look in the cow's eyes when she opened them again. In the end, it wasn't just about a single animal. It was about the principle that guided them, the truth that sustained their calling. Every life, no matter how small, is worth saving and cherishing. And as long as they lived, the men who saved the white cow would carry that truth in their hearts, an eternal reminder born on one scorching afternoon, in a quiet field where compassion triumphed over despair.